everyone, this is Ilina and welcome to another LDRS creative card video. Today we will be using the folk art slimline die along with the coordinating stencils. So there are 3 stencils in the pack and they're meant for layering. Also we're gonna use some masking to do multicolor stenciling with these layering stencils so you get more variation of color and more different and using different colors. The stencils are marked 1 through 3 so you know which layer comes first. Also, I will be using the Grandeur stamp set for the sentiment. So I've already pre-cut 2 panels from the folk art slimline die. So I'm going to use liquid adhesive to stack those up. I like stacking dies to get more dimension and more sturdiness, especially to my slimline cards. Usually I use 2 to 3 layers. I'm using pretty heavy weight cardstock here, so I'm just using 2 layers. And I also have a layer cut the same size, 3.25 by 8.25, and we're gonna do the stenciling on top of it. Then we're gonna adhere it behind the die cuts, and then onto our slimline card base. So I'm positioning the first stencil. I'm centering it because it's a little bit, my panel is a little bit smaller. So I just want to make sure that it's nice and centered. So I mask some areas using post-it tape, and I'm using Prickly Pear Perfection ink, and the LDRS Creative Ink Blending brush is to apply green where I want my green areas to be. Once I'm done, I'm using soft cloth to wipe off that ink because we're doing multicolor stenciling with one stencil and I don't want the colors to contaminate each other and get kind of muddy color in certain areas. So now I mask off the areas that were green that are on the areas in the center that I'm ink blending using Lipstick Jungle. I removed the first stencil. Now I'm applying the stencil number 2. I'm making sure that it's nice and centered, and I'm securing it with some highlighter tape, and also I'm masking some areas. So this is more detailed stencil and I have more areas to mask. So I'm slowly moving my tape, post-it tape, from one area to other. I'm using this Lipstick Jungle to apply ink in the areas that I want to be pink. So now we are done with this layer with the pink. Now I'm using Olive Branch to apply more branches that I want a little bit more color variation compared to the previous one, for which we used the Prickly Pear Perfection. Also, I'm wiping off the ink from the stencil so we're not doing ink contamination either on the blending brush or on the paper. So I think I'm done with all the green areas for now. So now let's move to the center. So now I'll use it orange. This is Tangerine Tango to apply the little areas that are around the center florals there. Okay, now we have also on top a floral image. We're going to do the same for the one in on the bottom. So you can see I'm moving that and reusing the tape where I changed the ink. I like to change the tape because the ink doesn't dry as fast on this tape. So again, it gives possibility for ink contamination. So next I'm going with Marina Madness and applying on the large flowers in the center. Again, I'm removing ink to avoid ink contamination and ink smearing. So this takes a little bit more time than just doing the layer stenciling, but the good thing is, the thing that I like is I get different colors and I can ink up the areas differently. So it gives us more variety of color and more detail. Okay, now we're repeating the same process with the third and last stencil. So this has just details in the center and also in the ends, the top and bottom little flowers. So now I'm going with Boysenberry Blast. I'm adding that in the center. So skip those little dots or circles that are in the center. I mask those off. Now we're going to remove the mask. Clean up that ink from the stencil and going with Tangerine, Dream, and apply all those little circles. I started from the bottom, then the top, and then I will go in the center. Again, I'm adding that post-it tape and masking off the flowers that we did with the Boysenberry Blast. Wiping off the excess of the ink from the stencil. Okay, now we just have the large flowers left. Here I started from the top flower. I meant to start from the bottom, and I'm using Tropical Sea. But I'll just move that tape to the center there and finish ink blending that. Move it back. And now we're gonna ink blend the other large floral. Okay, this finishes the ink blending process and you can see the results. What we're gonna do now is add that die cut on top. And then we just need to add a sentiment and adhere it to our slimline note card. So towards the end of my video, my phone decided to die, but I will explain you what I did. It was at the very end. So I'm just picking sentiment that I want to use from Grandeur stamp set, and I'm using some Adriatic cardstock to stamp on it. I'm using Watermark and embossing ink, and embossing in white, using white embossing powder. So I have here a container with a bunch of white embossing powder. I will heat set that, and then I'll trim it off. And I'll make sure that the width of the sentiments is 3 1/4 as our panel. Next, what I'll do is I will take a bunch of scrap strips of white cardstock, and instead of using foam tape, I'll stack those up and adhere them on the back of the sentiment. When I was applying adhesive on the back, that's when my video cut off, but it's pretty much the end of the card. And here's the card. You can see that dimension there. It's stack of 4 pieces of scrap cardstock, and to finish off the card I just added some white pearls to add a little bit more extra interest. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Also subscribe to the LDRS Creative YouTube channel and visit the blog for more ideas and more inspiration. Bye!